Let's jump right into CMHC questions. Can you explain the CMHC financing for multifamily? Explain the difference between new construction and buying an existing building.
Very hot product right now, CMHC, one of the most sort of favorite asset classes in terms of sort of financing and that sort of existing stock. If you're underwriting against loan to values, if it underwrites well, get up to 85%. So that's a 15% sort of down payment on an existing sort of stock, and it's sort of an older building. What we're finding is also debt service constraints seem to be sort of controlling or determining with regards to the loan to value or the down payment required with regards, and that will be dependent on the term of debt that they sort of decide to choose from. So if they're looking at a 5-year term, the minimum sort of debt service coverage that would constrain an existing stock would be 1.3 times. If it's a 10-year loan, then that would be 1.2 times. Now, one of the influencers could be obviously the amortization you choose to help sort of push the proceeds. The maximum sort of AM you could get is 40 years on existing stock. Now, on the construction side, all sorts of different exciting options. CMHC over the last sort of 3 to 5 years have helped sort of change what they call the CMHC standard program. They've introduced the MLI sort of select program, and that MLI Select one and the standards sort of evolved in the last sort of, I'd say, 3 to 5 years. CMET Standard, that's one everyone sort of knows. That one most recently evolved. When I say most recently evolved, historically, they were capped at sort of, 85% loan to value, which that still remains. They would only advance 75%, hold back 10% until it meets their sort of EGI or sort of effective gross income. Now, historically, the max M on the standard construction used to be 40. They've most recently, over the last sort of 6 months, allowed that amortization to go to 50 years. That's helped push some of the debt. One of the downsides on that standard is still goes back to that minimum debt service constraint, 1.3 based on a 5-year and 1.2 based on a 10-year. The most exciting program, the one that sort of worked, that has worked the best most recently, is that MLI Select program, where now you've introduced a platform that allows you to go, in theory, up to 95% loan to cost, minimum debt service coverage to 1.2 times. That's made it exciting. That's allowed product or, assets that maybe would have stalled. Now they have the ability to sort of move forward. Given that lower sort of debt service coverage has been huge and that lower loan to cost. Now, how you determine, I guess, the AM is really dependent on points. So they have a point system where you get so many number of points for energy efficiency, accessibility, and affordability. So if you have a combination of all three, that would allow you to get sort of what they call 100 points, 50-year AM. That's been exciting. And that's been probably, in terms of all this new construction that we're seeing right now, has been really targeted at that MLI Select program.